Thomas and friends, making tracks to great destinations. The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue sea. It has fields of green and sandy yellow beaches. There are rivers, streams, and lots of trees where the birds sing. There are windmills and a coal mine, and docks where visitors to the island arrive. The island also has lots and lots of railway lines. Who's that puffing down the track? It's Thomas. Hello, Thomas. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the island of Sodor. The Great Discovery.
Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore and still there's more jobs that must be done. Train it, you name it, then we all can say the time forgot will shine like new on Sodor Day.
There's jobs for mainland engines and narrowgauge as well. Jobs for workmen in the woods with trees to clear and fell. And guess who's trying hardest to do more than the rest?
It's Thomas, but the others know they all will do their best. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore and still there's more jobs that must be done. Train it, you name it, then we all can say the time forgot will shine like new on Sodor Day.
Emily and Gordon take fallen trees and drops. James and Edward bringing stone while Henry's at the docks. And Toby drops a workman to work with Jack and Nat.
When Percy drops supplies, no time to rest at Tidmouth Sheds. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore and still there's more jobs that must be done. Train it, you name it, then we all can say the time forgot will shine like new on Sodor Day. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore and still there's more jobs that must be done. Train it, you name it, then we all can say the time forgot will shine like new on Sodor Day. The time forgot will shine like new on Sodor Day.
Back at Tidmouth Sheds, the Fat Controller was talking to Thomas. Thomas, you are to find all the lost and hidden tracks around the town. Thomas was pleased. And because you discovered Great Waterton, the Fat Controller added, I am also giving you the most important job of all. You are to be in charge of all the work. Fizzling fireboxes, puffed Thomas proudly. I'm bringing an engine from the mainland to do your usual jobs, the Fat Controller added. Thomas didn't take any notice of this. He was too busy thinking about being in charge of all the work at Great Waterton. The next morning, the Fat Controller arrived at Brendam Docks to meet the new engine. Even Cranky was excited. Suddenly there was a loud sound of pistons pumping. From behind a cloud of steam, a new tank engine puffed slowly out. He was shinier and bigger and stronger than Thomas. This is Stanley, boomed the Fat Controller. Welcome to Sodor, Stanley. "Oh, my," gasped Henry. "Whatever will Thomas say?" Thomas didn't know that Stanley had arrived. He had been busy. He had already found a lot of hidden tracks. Thomas puffed proudly along to his new engine shed. James huffed up. "Look at my new shed," Thomas tooted grandly. "While I'm in charge, I won't have time to puff back to Tidmouth." But James wasn't interested in Thomas's shed. "I've just met the new engine," snorted James. "He's called Stanley. He's very friendly. Everyone likes him. He's doing your jobs very well." Thomas was surprised. Suddenly, his new shed didn't seem so important. The next day, Thomas had to pull heavy trucks of stone to the docks. He stopped at the washdown. He saw a shiny new tank engine. "That must be Stanley," he puffed to himself. Stanley and Percy were playing and joking. Both engines had told the workmen to pour on more bubbles. Percy was giggling and Stanley was laughing even louder. Thomas felt left out. He tooted to his friend, but Percy was too busy having fun. He didn't notice Thomas. Thomas puffed on. He was upset. Later, Thomas stopped at a junction. Gordon was waiting. Suddenly, with a whoosh and a whistle, Stanley raced onto the main line with Annie and Clarabel. They were having a wonderful time. They clattered straight past Thomas. "Stanley knows how to have fun," Gordon declared. Thomas watched Stanley disappear. He didn't think it was fun at all. That night, Thomas puffed into Tidmouth Sheds. He was very tired. Tonight, he wanted to be with his friends. "Cinders and ashes!" he gasped. Stanley was in his berth. Stanley blew a high sound from his whistle. Then Gordon blew a low sound. And Emily trembled a sound no one had ever heard before. All the engines whooshed and whished with laughter. "Hello, you must be Thomas," whistled Stanley. "Hello, Thomas," chuckled the other engines. But Thomas wasn't chuckling. He didn't like Stanley doing his jobs, or pulling his carriages, or being everyone's best friend. But laughing in his berth at Tidmouth Sheds was worst of all. I have to get back to Great Waterton, he huffed. "I have work to do." And he chuffed quickly away. Thomas wished Stanley had never come to Sodor. The next day, Thomas was extra busy. He wanted everyone to see he was better than Stanley. Thomas collected Jack. "I need you all to work harder than you've ever worked," he tooted to Jack. "Don't worry, Thomas. Alfie, Ned and Oliver are the best, and Monty and Max are dumping such heavy loads they're getting dizzy." Thomas smiled. He liked being in charge. Thomas wanted to show everyone he could do everything. Next, he was pulling some heavy trucks. Then there was trouble. Thomas was puffing too fast round the bend. He toppled off the track. His load crashed down the bank. "Oh, no," cried Thomas. Luckily, no one was hurt. The Fat Controller arrived with Edward and Rocky. He was cross. "Thomas, you must go to the repair yard." Thomas didn't want to go to the repair yard. He wanted to stay in charge. "Stanley will take your place in charge of the work at Great Waterton," added the Fat Controller. This was the worst news ever for Thomas. He was so upset. Rocky lowered Thomas onto Edward's flatbed. Slowly, Edward puffed away from Great Waterton. Edward had to stop at a signal. Stanley chuffed cheerfully towards them. "Bad luck, Thomas," he whistled, and he puffed away. In the distance, they could hear the other engines cheer. "Welcome, Stanley!" Thomas was cross. "I found Great Waterton," he hooted. "I'll be back. I'll be in charge again. Then everyone will see I'm more useful than Stanley." Edward's signal changed to go, and he puffed on.